Ladies of Reddit, what is the biggest misconception about your bodies that all men should know? The cum comes back out. My nephew, at 36, just recently learned that the reason his girlfriend goes to the bathroom after sex is to pee, push bacteria from sex out of the urethra, and let the cum come out. So if you are reading this and didn't know, the sperm inside the cum continues its journey after orgasm, but the fluid that transfers the sperm comes back out. We are not sponges. What prompted that conversation with his aunt? I was wondering the same thing. Like, as a woman, I can't imagine having a conversation like that with my uncle or your nephew, right? Not every position works for everybody. For example, I have a tilted uterus. I'm most comfy in doggy. I hear that. It took me a lot time to get my husband to understand that between his curve and mine, we physically could not accomplish reverse cowgirl. You can't accomplish reverse cowgirl in Alabama because you can't turn your back on family. The C is not like a scratch could. I won't come when you try to rub it off. Does using a penny help? No, but using a penny does. What does pasta have to do with it? You mean you don't get instantly horny when someone serves you pasta? Go slower. Take your time. Tease a little. A lot. The build up is as fun as the main event. Hell yeah. Exactly, that's why I'm undefeated at Jenga. I'm just realizing how erotic that game is. Every woman's body is different. Some have sensitive nipples, others have none, and most will experience soreness occasionally throughout the month due to hormones. Just like the puddy cat. How some women can only climax by clit and others can by penetration. Having open communication and an open mind equals best experiences. The clit has gotten my wife and I through some tough times. I love that thing. Vaginal discharge is a normal thing. It also changes consistency, i.e., creamy, sticky, or egg white, or color, i.e., white, clear, cloudy white, depending on our cycles. My partner didn't know this was a thing. Appreciate that's not really a misconception though. We got to have a cool conversation about how I can quasi-monitor my vaginal health and hormonal changes by tracking my discharge. He also didn't know periods can be chunky. Edit. Thank you for the award. Actually made my day. I'm glad I asked my partner about this. I wish everyone well along their educational journeys. And thank you for all the answer support in the comments on this thread 3. The amount of times I felt ashamed because of my discharge, because I was never told it was normal, is embarrassing, and that vaginal discharge is acidic and can have a bleaching effect on underwear. Yes. Me not being able to orgasm from penetration doesn't mean I'm not enjoying myself / you're doing a bad job. It took a while to figure out for me, but expecting your partner to orgasm and putting pressure on it can make it so much harder. Like, the harder you try, the harder it gets. Just relax and have fun. Not everyone needs to come all the time. Sex is awesome either way. Seriously, this with one person I was seeing for a while, relaxing made it easy / possible to orgasm. Once we had been dating for a while, she was able to relax enough with me and it just sort of happened. If you're not relaxed for any reason, including not wanting the other person to feel bad, paradoxically it can make it hard to come. The C isn't on our left flap. Then you try to correct him and he just goes to the right flap. FR. As a guy, I used to be amazed that some men apparently struggle to find the C. I mean, it's right in the same spot every time. Just Google it. Right. Then I had a few partners in a row who each had a teensy weensy little C hidden way up in the hood and the labia. Trouble is, we don't have the benefit of the instant feedback of feeling that the ladies do rubbing their own C. So we have to rely on that feeling of a slightly smoother, harder surface that tells you you're on the spot. With these women, it was basically impossible to feel it out over the labia unless you really pushed the entire labia and hood up and out of the way, which meant rubbing the clit was like trying to clean the tip of a ballpoint with your finger while holding half a lasagne in your palm, at arm's length, under a blanket, with your eyes closed. Difficult. Anyway, I forget what I was trying to say, but it turns out the whole thing can be avoided by just using a vibrator with a big head on it instead. Technology. just how much different types of birth control affect our bodies. Physically and mentally, the combination pill turned me into an unfeeling and distant person. Switched to an IUD after 2 months to feel like a person again. I was so depressed on hormonal birth control. It wasn't until I stopped years later that I realized the cause. No doctor ever mentioned any mental/emotional side effects, or that it would affect my body's ability to calcify my bones in the end stages of puberty. Labia minora shape and size don't determine tightness. Nor minora. Wingardium Leviosa. Sometimes I could use a Petrificus totalis down there. Just a little help. You understand. Ingorgio. When my husband got his vasectomy he said, "I'm so glad to this babe, no more babies, no more birth control for you, and no more periods." That's not how biology works, honey. Took him a minute to realize his mistake. If I could get a vasectomy to get rid of periods, that'd be CIEIIC. That moment of hope I felt just before logic kicked in proof. Sometimes period blood stains are hard to get out and look like a faint brown stain after you wash them. The amount of crying skid marks makes me want it to wither up and blow away in the breeze. Hydrogen peroxide is a game changer. Just spray or pour over the stain. Let it sit for 5 minutes then wash. Tada, no more stain or very minimal at most. Peroxide is also fantastic for sweat stains. Having a period doesn't make a child a grown woman. Yep, had my first period when I was 8 to 9 and definitely wasn't grown then. We don't enjoy boobs as much as we flex them. They are constantly getting in the way. Side note, I love boobs and I play with my boobs constantly, lol. Yeah, but I wish you could just be like, okay, I'm done, and take him off and put them on the nightstand. What a design flaw. SMH. Literally what my GF has said to me. Also that she wishes she could pop them off and yeet them at me when I'm being annoying, lol. Stretch marks are the most normal things in the world. Treat them accordingly. An ex-friend of mine's old boyfriend got her naked and saw them and asked her, horrified, how she got hurt /view 200 edit. Of course men can get them too. Any single person who has a growth spurt anywhere can. I've just only seen confusion/assumptions about it more often on the male part rather than knowledge. Guys also have stretch marks. It's perfectly natural. We are just used to these perfect skins that are thrown at us on the TV and movies, which look nothing like that without all the make-up and retouching. Second this, I'm a guy, and I'm covered head to toe in stretch marks for different reasons. Some I got from growth spurts, some I got from being fat, and some I got from muscle growth after not being as fat. We are hairy, legs, pits, arms of course, but also hair in our face, on our chest, our cheeks, fingers, toes, ears and belly. They are soft and short, but if you are dark haired this can change fast. Sometimes stray, thick grey or black single beard hairs. Gets worse with age. Also a lot of us shave off the hair around the anus because we think it is not feminine, but it is so bad for the situation back there. Not an ideal situation. That women are supposed to have no body hair, but then a glorious head full of shiny long hair. I can't tell you how many men I've seen be about make-up and such because they love natural women, but then get disgusted by body hair. And I'm of the opinion that if I'm lucky enough to be taking a girl's knickers off, then the last thing I need to concern myself with is topiary preferences. If a woman gets pregnant and the fetus dies, she will need it removed, or she will die. If a woman gets pregnant and the embryo ends up in the fallopian tubes, she needs it removed, or she will die. The embryo/fetus is not viable when it is situated in a fallopian tube. PMDD is not bad PMS. It's debilitating. My ex had PMDD. She did describe it as PMS on steroids, but I got a different view by googling for a while. She used to break up with me 2 to 3 times in 2 days each month. That other people do indeed need permission to touch it. We can't hold in the period blood. Also cramps really hurt. We are not being dramatic. Edit, the V doesn't smell like flowers. Nor is it supposed to. Edit 2, people do not like eater. Sorry for being off topic, but I keep seeing this recently. What is ETA? I always knew it to mean estimated time of arrival. It stupidly means edit to add, which saves a whole one letter instead of just writing edit. I really don't get how it caught on, especially since, as you said, ETA is already taken. Also, yes, I know I come off a bit much on this, but it is one of those things that just grinds my gears, and I fully know it does more than it should. Vaginas can have a lot of unseen problems that make us uncomfortable. Don't get pissy with a girl when she says she's having issues and doesn't want sex. Female sexual dysfunction is very real. // thank you for the upvotes and gold. I just hope that if you are having problems with your sexual self, whatever you identify as, you know there is help. No one should have to hide these problems. I take it that it works the same as erectile dysfunction. No matter if you try to force it or try to get over yourself or whatever, it is literally physically impossible. Yup. Often forcing it or trying to just get over it lands you painful sex, and if you do it often enough, your body registers sex as something that is supposed to be painful, so your libido becomes non-existent and you get anxiety even thinking about it. Speaking from experience, it's really hard to get out of that cycle and requires an incredibly patient and understanding partner. Oh, so that's how I got here. Thanks X. Believe it or not, I can express normal human emotions without being on my period. Looks like she is on her period again. /s. Woman down. I repeat, woman down /s. Oh boy, I've got some good ones. 1. Just because I'm a little dry, it doesn't necessarily mean I don't want to have sex, or that I'm not enjoying myself. Sometimes I'm dehydrated. Sometimes the air where I live is just really dry. Sometimes I'm just a tad bit nervous. Lube is always the answer, and not a reflection of your quality as a sex partner. 2. Vaginas don't stretch from the number of sex partners they have. They're meant to be flexible, and an aroused V will expand to create a little bit more room for a P. Vaginas don't even really stretch when a human baby is pushed through them. I highly doubt anyone's P is bigger than a human baby. If I'm wrong about this, and your P is bigger than a newborn baby, about the size of a Chipotle burrito, please see a doctor. 3. Foreplay. For women, sex is a symphony. It builds to a crescendo and peak. 4. Unless you're on an extreme side of P size spectrum. No, D size doesn't really matter. And yes, I do mean that for extremely small and extremely large. For the average person, there is such a thing as too much D. Too much D is intense, and possibly a bad time. I'm an electrician, surrounded by men all day. One of them legitimately thought we peed out of our clitoris. He's in his 30s, married, and has kids. The quality of, or lack of, sex it evidenced in one question. Not a woman, but the breasts don't make a honking sound when pressed. You're doing it wrong. Our body is more than tits, pussy, ass. We like to be touched everywhere. Slow and sensual. Kiss our lips, our neck. Run your hands up and down our back and legs. You will see how much this turns us on. Guy here can confirm that you needed me to lol. Just came here to say that this is my wife's favorite part of sex. She loves it when we just lay there and I slowly touch her everywhere and all over. Super hot. Men, listen to this lady. I agree with your wife, super hot. I also think this guy's wife is super hot. As a representative of the Council of Men, we unanimously agree that this guy's wife is super hot. That having menstrual cramps is extremely common amongst menstruating women. It could be caused by various medical conditions such as endometriosis, uterine fibroids, etc., and has nothing to do with genetics, race, or upbringing. We can't mentally shut off period cramps, and taking ibuprofen/Tylenol doesn't always mitigate the pain. So please just let us handle it in the way we know works and is best for us. Another misconception is that the size, shape and color of a woman's labia is an indicator of whether or not she is promiscuous. This is not true. The size, shape and color of the labia and the vulva has absolutely nothing to do with sexual activity in any way. The appearance of the labia and vulva is genetically determined, as is the rest of the human body in terms of hair color, eye color, height, facial features, etc. Another misconception is that the size, shape and color of a woman's labia is an indicator of whether or not she is promiscuous. This is not true. The size, shape and color of the labia and the vulva has absolutely nothing to do with sexual activity in any way. The appearance of the labia and vulva is genetically determined, as is the rest of the human body in terms of hair color, eye color, height, facial features, etc. Do people actually think this? That's ridiculous. Being wet during non-consensual sex doesn't mean consent. I always thought being wet was comparable to being hard. I still get hard, even though I don't want sex. I always thought being wet was comparable to being hard. I still get hard, even though I don't want sex. Though life would be so awkward if I wanted sex every time I got hard. It would be even worse if everyone else thought you wanted sex every time you got hard. For the love of all that is holy, we cannot shut off our periods. We cannot control it. Also, no, the V does not change shape based on how many people they've slept with. We cannot shut off our periods. I'm sure most women would love to have that superpower. Most women have chub. Pictures do not always show how it is when we are sitting.